Dear students, welcome. Today in this module, we will be discussing about the biomedical waste. Now, this biomedical waste will be covered in two parts. In this part, we will be discussing about the biomedical waste, its definition. Now, what are the different types of biomedical waste, like the classification based on hazardous and non-hazardous waste. Then we will discuss about the various sources from which the biomedical wastes are generated. Then we will discuss about the biomedical waste management. Now, under management, in this module, we will be discussing about the segregation of biomedical waste. Then we will discuss about the collection and storage. Then about the transport of biomedical waste. In the next module, that is biomedical waste part 2, we will be discussing about the treatment and the disposal aspects. Now, what are biomedical waste? Now, biomedical waste are those waste materials that are generated from health centers, hospitals, clinics and other research organizations which work related to the health aspects. Now, how it is different from solid waste? Now, it is a part of solid waste, it comes under the type based solid waste classification, but they are categorized into a different section because of the toxicity and the infectivity aspect which is associated with these type of waste. They also come under the hazardous category due to the toxicity and the infectivity nature of these waste. Now, what are the examples of these waste? Now, as I told you, these are generated from the hospitals, health centers and so on. So, the waste also will be the sharps, you will have the saline bottles, amputated parts, blood, tissue, then soiled waste like the contaminated bedspreads and so on. Now, with this introduction, now let us discuss about the biomedical waste in detail. Now, what are the learning objectives of this module? The learning objectives of this module include, first, as I told you, we will discuss about what are biomedical waste and the different sources of generation. Then we will understand what are the different types of biomedical waste, like the classification aspect where I told you hazardous and non-hazardous waste. Then we will discuss or explain the biomedical waste management steps. Then we will study how to properly collect, segregate and manage these wastes. What are biomedical waste? Now, biomedical waste means any solid or a liquid waste that is generated during diagnosis, treatment or immunization of human beings or animals. Now, these waste possess a great hazard in two ways. One, as I told you, infectivity and the other one is toxicity. Now, what are the sources of biomedical waste? Broadly, if you see, the sources are categorized into two types, one major source and the other one is minor sources. Now, let us discuss about what are the different categories where the major sources actually come into existence. Now, government hospitals, private hospitals, nursing, clinics, homes, dispensary, they come under the major source of biomedical waste generation. In addition to that, the primary health centers, medical colleges, research centers, paramedical services, veterinary colleges that deals with the animals, animal research center, blood banks, mortuaries, autopsy centers, biotechnological units, production units, all these come under the major sources of biomedical waste. Now, what are the minor sources from where these biomedical wastes are generated? They include the small clinics like physicians, dentists, animal houses or slaughterhouses. Animal houses generally they are used for, even in our university we have some animal houses where experimentation is done on these test animals. So, then slaughterhouses, blood donation camps, vaccination centers, then psychiatric clinics, cosmetic like wherever ear piercing and these piercing and all is involved, there you use certain chemicals and sometimes you have the cotton swabs where blood comes out. So, these are again some of the minor sources from where biomedical waste is generated. Even the funeral services, the waste generated during the funeral services also are included in your minor source of biomedical waste. Classification of biomedical waste. Again, the biomedical wastes are classified into two categories. One is your non-hazardous waste and the other one is hazardous waste. Now, under non-hazardous waste, what can come under non-hazardous? Like whatever waste that is not having any toxicity or infectivity, then you categorize them under non-hazardous waste. Now, about 75 to 90% of your biomedical waste are generally non-hazardous in nature. They are non-risky. As the name suggests, it is non-hazardous, it is not risky when you compare it with your domestic waste. And they also have a similar characteristic of your domestic waste. Now, from where are these waste generated? Now, in a hospital, you will have a administrative or a maintenance block. So, whatever waste that is generated from the administrative or the maintenance block in these hospitals, healthcare centers, clinics and those areas, they are categorized as your non-hazardous biomedical waste. Now, the main part of your biomedical waste is your hazardous biomedical waste. Now, in the hazardous biomedical waste, it contributes only 10 to 25% of the overall waste and they possess two principal characteristics for it to be included under the hazardous category. One is your infectivity, which contributes to 15 to 18% and the toxicity, which contributes to 5 to 7%. Now, infectivity, you can see the contaminated blood or the amputated parts, tissues, all tend to invite or attract pathogens. More infectious these wastes are. Now, toxicity aspects, if you see, many times when these diagnosis purpose, you use these radiation equipments. So, there comes the toxicity, which is very less percentage of around 5 to 7%. What are the different types of hazardous biomedical waste? You have different categories like your infectious waste, pathological waste, pharmaceutical waste, genotoxic waste, chemical waste, waste containing high content of heavy metals, and lastly the radioactive waste, which comes from the radiotherapy units. Now, let us discuss each of these categories in detail. Now, what are infectious waste? As I told you earlier, these are waste that would contain pathogens, especially they come from the laboratory cultures, waste from the isolation wards, wherever you have patients in an isolation ward or separate unit. Also the tissues like swabs, materials or equipments that you use for infected patients and the excreta. So, all these things come under the infectious waste. Now, what are pathological waste? Now, pathological waste they include human tissues or fluids like your body parts, bloods and other body fluids. Also the dead fetus come under the pathological waste. The third category is your pharmaceutical waste. Now, in a pharmaceutical waste, it is a waste that is containing these expired medicines or any medicines that is of no longer use. Okay? And the contaminated pharmaceuticals like the boxes and the bottles which contain these medicines are also categorized under the pharmaceutical waste. The next category of waste is your genotoxic waste. Now, what are genotoxic waste? Now, these waste are waste that contains cytotoxic drugs. Now, cytotoxic drugs are especially used in cancer therapy and such medicines or drugs that are used for such therapy are called as genotoxic chemicals and or genotoxic waste. Now, the next category is your chemical waste. Now, these are chemicals which are used like in laboratory testing, maybe some laboratory agents, wherever you develop the X-ray film for development you use certain chemicals. Also the main important is a disinfectant. Wherever you have this, you might have seen in many hospitals, they keep using or continuously keep disinfecting by using phenol or some bleaching powder and things like that. So, disinfectants are one of the major category of the chemical waste, and sometimes certain solvents are also used, and whatever that is expired or no longer needed, especially the chemicals, all are categorized under the chemical waste category. Next type of waste is your waste which contains heavy metals, that too a high proportion of heavy metals like your batteries, broken thermometers, blood pressure units, pressurized containers, and the cylinders which you use, like your oxygen cylinder or any other gas cylinders that you use, come under this category. Even the aerosol cans are included under this category. The next category of waste is your radioactive waste generated from or during your radiotherapy. This is the last category. Now, it is clear from the term itself. Now, waste containing radioactive substances like the unused liquids during laboratory research or which is contaminated glasswares, absorbent paper, the tissue paper, urine or excreta from patients who are generally treated with these radionuclides all come under this category. I am sure now you are clear about what are the different categories or how the hazardous waste are subcategorized into different types. Now, what are the health effects of biomedical waste? This figure gives you a broad outline of what are the different effects of the biomedical waste. Now, let us discuss about the health effects that are associated with the biomedical waste. In addition to health effects, these biomedical waste also contributes a lot of environmental effects too. So, first let us see what are the health effects and then I will tell you or brief you about the environmental effects. Now, the health effects as such, if you see, one, as usual, like it contains a lot of infectious waste, so you tend to catch up lot of diseases. So, you get a lot of diseases which occurs due to improper disposal of these biomedical waste. Now, what are those diseases? One can be your skin infections, gastroenteric infections like your diarrhea, vomiting and things like that. You also tend to have your lung infection, respiratory tract infection, you will have genital infections, then hemorrhagic fevers, meningitis and things like that. And more importantly, HIV is also another important main a disease that is being caused when the biomedical wastes are not managed properly. These are few examples. In addition to that, you also have other diseases which are caused due to the biomedical waste. Now, the environmental effects as such, if you see, these biomedical wastes should be separated and treated separately because they have a lot of infectious organisms in them. Now, so you use incinerators for combusting these waste and the ash is disposed of along with the municipal stream. Now, when incinerators are there, when you burn something in the presence of oxygen at a very high temperature, you know that it releases a lot of gases. Now, the gaseous pollutants can be carbon dioxide, then you can have some oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrogen depending upon the nature. Now, what happens? This is just released into the atmosphere, so it causes air pollution. Now, whatever inert ash that is left out at the end of burning, that is also a pollutant because they are very light and they are carried away easily by air. So, this is another way, this is one way by which your air is getting polluted. Now, when you talk about water, if you discharge these biomedical waste, I mean the liquid waste into the sewer network and slowly it will start spreading the infection and it will contaminate your groundwater as well as your surface water. So, if they are not properly disposed and then it is just disposed of in an open land without any treatment, then what happens is it stays in the soil and the soil is also polluted. So, in addition to various health effects, it also disturbs your different matrices of your environment like your soil, water and air. Dear students, in the first part of this module, we discussed about what is biomedical waste. We defined what is biomedical waste. Now, what are the sources from which biomedical waste is generated, like your major and your minor source. Your hospitals, government hospitals, private hospitals, medical centers, all these sources become your major sources and small dentist clinics, cosmetic piercing, all these centers become your minor sources. Then we discussed about the classification of hazardous waste, where we categorize them into two classes. One is your hazardous category and the other one is non-hazardous category. Under non-hazardous category that contributes to a major portion of your biomedical waste, they are generally generated from the administrative or the maintenance blocks of these hospitals and health centers. And they are equal to your domestic waste and it is not as risky as your hazardous component. The second component was your hazardous component. In the hazardous component, why it is categorized as hazardous, I told you, due to the infectious nature and the toxic nature of your waste. Now, due to this they are categorized as hazardous. Then we discussed about what are the different categories of the hazardous biomedical waste, like your genotoxic waste, pathological waste, infectious waste, radioactive waste like that is generated from the radiotherapy units. Then we also discussed about the various health and the environmental effects that the biomedical waste generates or imposes on the environment and on the individual. Now, in the coming part or the part 2, we will be discussing or focusing on the biomedical waste management aspect. Now, under that we will discuss about the segregation aspect, then we will talk about the collection and storage of biomedical waste, and then we will discuss about the transport of biomedical waste. Now, let us talk about the biomedical waste management. Now, why is management required? Just like your solid waste, so much biomedical waste is also generated, because India is having almost more than 15,000 medical centers, hospitals, clinics and so on, which generates a quite large amount of the biomedical waste. Now, they have to be treated properly, and without any treatment they should not be disposed of. So, it needs a proper waste management practice or a plan. Now, as you know, in the waste management you have different steps starting from your generation, then collection, storage, transport, processing, treatment and disposal. Same way you have the same plan is also followed, or same steps are also followed for your biomedical waste. Now, it starts with segregation of biomedical waste, then collection of biomedical waste, their storage, transport, treatment and disposal. So, to have a safe environment and to protect the individuals from the health effects, you have to manage the biomedical waste properly. Now, managing a biomedical waste will generally reduce the risk, as I told you, on the health of an individual as also on the surrounding ecosystem. Also, it will not lead to any environmental hazard. It will also limit your occupational hazard. Occupational hazard means hazard occurring in your working environment. For example, people handling this waste or people who are there working in hospitals and clinics who are exposed to these hazards, then it becomes an occupational hazard. So, it will also minimize your occupational hazard and general public hazard. Now, as I told you, the steps that are involved in biomedical waste management, it starts off from segregation, collection and storage, transport, treatment and disposal, which is depicted in the flow chart that is given here. Okay? Now, let us continue with the management. Now, segregation. Segregation is nothing but simple separation of waste. You segregate it under the non-hazardous category or the hazardous category. Under non-hazardous also you segregate them as like plastic waste or paper waste or food waste accordingly. Now, segregation is a very vital step, especially in the biomedical waste management, and here you segregate the waste into different categories, and this segregation is done at the source of generation, wherever source means like your hospitals or health centers, medical centers, there itself you segregate them. Now, by doing so you can reduce the risk as well as it improves the rate of managing and disposal. Now, the biomedical waste should not be mixed with other containers and it should be always set aside, and you have a proper color coded bags for segregation and you put the waste in that respective color coded bags. Now, how does segregation help you? Now, segregation generally reduces the need of waste handling and treatment. Then they avoid mixing of biomedical waste with other municipal waste. Also, you can avoid certain illegal reuse of materials like used syringes, needles and other plastics. If you segregate them properly, then there is no need of these rag pickers. They will not use this pick up this syringe and then reuse it, because again it will start spreading the infection. So, you should avoid all these things. Then segregation also will offer a chance for recycling certain components of medical waste like your plastics after proper use through disinfection. Now, recyclable plastic materials can also be used for non-food grade applications. The non-infectious biodegradable waste can generally be composted and can be used for gardening purposes. So, all these things can be done only when you follow the segregation properly. Now, there are 10 categories by which these biomedical waste should be segregated. Now, the table given here will summarize the 10 different categories, how the biomedical waste are segregated. Now, let us discuss that in detail. Now, as I told you, you have 10 categories of waste. Category 1 talks about the human anatomical waste. Now, anatomical waste is like human tissues, organs, body parts and so on. The second category includes the animal waste like animal tissues, organs, body parts, like then the carcasses, the dead bones and things like that, bleeding parts, amputated parts, and also when you use this blood and experimental animals for research purpose, they are also included in this. Now, waste generated by the veterinary hospital and colleges, discharges from hospitals and animal houses are also included under category 2. Now, category 3 talks about your microbiology and biotechnology waste. Now, they are waste that are generated from the laboratory cultures, stocks or specimen of live microorganisms like your attenuated vaccines, human and animal cell cultures that are generally used in research and infectious agents that are generated from research and industrial laboratories all comes under this. Also the waste that is produced during the production of toxins, biological things, devices are also categorized under category 3. Now, category 4 includes your waste sharps. Sharps are nothing but needles, syringes, scalps, blades, glass, etc. The category 4 waste should be treated properly or handled properly because they will tend to cut the individual who is dealing or handling this waste. So, it has to be treated or separated properly. Now, category 6 talks about your soiled waste. Soiled waste is like your cotton bed sheets or bedspreads which you use, the linings, bedding material which is contaminated with blood or the soiled plaster, all these things come under category 6. Now, category 7 includes the solid waste that is generated from the disposable items other than the waste sharps like the catheters, intravenous sets, tubings which you generally use. Category 8 talks about your liquid waste that is generated during the laboratory cleaning, washing, housekeeping and other disinfecting activities. Category 9 includes your incineration ash. As I told you, it is one of the important treatment unit for biomedical waste. Now, that is under category 9. Now, category 10, which is the last category, talks about your chemical waste where the chemicals that are used in biologicals and the chemicals that are used in disinfecting like insecticides are all categorized under category 10. Now, just like segregation, the next step in the waste management is your collection and storage. This is again very important. Once the waste is segregated, it should be collected and stored. Now, the collection of biomedical waste generally involves the use of different types of containers where the waste is generally stored. The containers or bins should be generally located in such a manner that 100% of waste collection is achieved. That means you have to place it in such a way that the 100% waste is dropped in that particular container. The bins and the bags that generally you use to carry the biohazard should have the biohazard symbol. On the right side, if you see in this image, you can see the symbol of a biohazard and a cytotoxic hazard. Any storage bins or bags that carry the biohazard should have this symbol. Now, once the collection occurs, then the biomedical waste are generally stored in a proper safe place. Now, the segregated waste of different categories must be collected in specific containers. You remember we discussed about the 10 different categories of waste. So, each different waste should be stored in different containers. The extent of storage should not go beyond 8 to 10 hours in a big hospital which is having, how do you categorize big hospital is like those which are having 250 beds and for not more than 24 hours in nursing homes or small clinics. Now, these container should be clearly labeled in a place where it is kept. The reason for labeling is that it would avoid unnecessary chaos. So, you can also you can trace the waste to the source properly. Then the storage spot must be noticeable with a warning sign. You have to provide there like this is a biohazard that is kept here, or what are the hazardous category or different categories, you name them with a symbol and then you put it there, or you put just a notice saying that this is a hazardous area where it is having the biomedical waste. Now, let us discuss about the color coding that is generally used for the collection of biomedical waste. Now, this figure will show you what are the different colors of bags that are generally used for biomedical waste collection. You use 4 different types of bags. One is your yellow color, red color, blue or white, and the fourth one is black color plastic bags are used. Now, different types of waste category which we discussed previously will be stored in different types of bags. Now, yellow bag is for category 1, 2, 3 and 6. Now, 1 belongs to waste that is human anatomical waste, 2 is your animal waste, 3 microbiology and biotechnology waste, and 6 is your soiled waste. Now, red bags are for disinfected container or a plastic bag, that is for category 6, 7 and 3. 3 is your microbiology and biotechnology waste, 6 is soiled waste and 7 is your solid waste that is generated from the biomedical waste. Then is your blue or white bag which is translucent. Okay? Now, this bag should be puncture proof and this is for category 4 and 7. Now, what comes under category 4? It is waste sharp and 7 is your solid waste. The last color code that you generally use for biomedical waste collection is your black color bags which is for category 5, 9 and 10. Now, what are category 5, 9 and 10? 5 is your discarded medicine or cytotoxic drugs, 9 is your incineration ash and 10 is your chemical waste. You can see the plastic bags blue, red and yellow color, and in the yellow color bag you can also see the biohazard symbol in that. And these are different containers yellow, red, blue and the other color that is being used for different collection of different types of biomedical waste. You can see clearly the symbols that are provided, labeling. So, everything should be done perfectly to avoid unnecessary chaos. Now, next to collection and storage, it is your transportation. So, transportation is also important. You have special collection vehicles which is generally used for transporting biomedical waste. Some of them are trolleys, wheelbarrows, chute systems and things like that. Now, they are generally transported in trolleys or in enclosed wheelbarrows. Manual loading should generally be avoided as far as possible because it tends to contaminate and spread infections. The bags and the containers should be generally tied before hauling. Hauling is nothing but just moving the container. Now, special vehicles should be used so that you avoid direct contact to the person who is transporting the material, also to the scavengers and to the public. The driver should be always trained to avoid accidental spillage. For example, especially when you are carrying certain highly hazardous or toxic waste, then these things you have to keep it in mind. Now, let us discuss each of the transportation vehicles that are generally used for transporting the biomedical waste. As I told you, the first one are trolleys. The trolleys will generally eliminate contact with the infectious waste at the source itself instead of accumulating a new category of waste. The second type of vehicle is your wheelbarrow. Now, wheelbarrow again they are of two types, one is open, the other one is covered. Now, they are generally made of steel and they are provided with two wheels and a handle. Only packed waste, that is those which are packed in plastic bags should be carried. Care should be taken to prevent the liquid waste from spilling into the wheelbarrow. So, it should be kept clean also because if there is any spillage again it will contaminate and spread diseases. On the right side you can see an image of a wheelbarrow. The next type is your chutes. Now, these chutes are nothing but a vertical conduit that is generally provided for easy transportation of biomedical waste It is generally vertical in case of establishments with more than 2 floors. For example, these chutes are nothing but long pipes or channels, you can say, or conduits which are fixed. Like if your hospital is a multi-storied hospital, then from top if you add the waste through these chutes, it will easily come down and you can collect it in the ground floor. Now, chutes should be produced from, should be made of stainless steel with a self-closing lid. Now, it should be sterilized on a daily basis with formaldehyde vapors. If you put this formaldehyde vapors, then it acts like a disinfectant. The linen that are contaminated with blood and other body fluids must be bundled in a soiled linen or a plastic bag before it is put through the chute or the conduit. Alternatively, the elevators with mechanical winches or electrical winches can be used to bring down the waste containers from each floor. The next one is your dustbins. Now, the dustbins should be of such capacity so that it can be placed at a specific site and it can serve the purpose. You should take care that it does not overflow. Now, again it should be cleaned after every cycle or every time when it is clearance is done, you should clean it with disinfectant to again avoid unnecessary spread of diseases. Now, it should be wrinkled with plastic bags which are chlorine free, and again color coding is very, very important. Sometimes these dustbins are also directly carried along with these collection vehicles to the disposing area. To summarize, at the end of this module, we have discussed about what are biomedical waste, what are the different sources from where they are generated. Under sources, we discussed about the major source as well as the minor sources. Now, how the government hospitals, medical centers all act like a major source, and small clinics and other cosmetic piercing units act like your minor sources. Then we discussed about the classification of biomedical waste. We classified into hazardous and non-hazardous category. Non-hazardous category contributes a major portion of your biomedical waste, and they are not as risky as your hazardous waste, they are equal to your domestic waste. The hazardous component, they are made hazardous because of two main characteristics that they possess. One is your infectivity, the other one is toxicity. Then we discussed about what are the different categories of the hazardous waste, like your infectious waste, pathological waste, genotoxic waste, radioactive waste that are generated from the radiotherapy units, and waste containing heavy metals. Then finally, we discussed about the different health and the environmental effects that these biomedical waste generate on the generate and influence your health and the different environmental matrices. Finally, we discussed about the biomedical waste management, where we discussed in detail about segregation of waste. We also saw how waste were segregated in 10 different categories. Then we discussed about how to collect these segregated waste and what are the different color coding that is being used. We also discussed about the different symbols like the biohazard symbol, where you have to put it on these collection or the storage bins or bags. Then we discussed about the transportation of biomedical waste, where we discussed about the wheelbarrows, trolleys and the chute system. I hope you would have enjoyed this module. Thank you.